So let's jump into our lab environment and let's start installing Git and creating a Git account and all those things. Okay. So everyone connect to your Windows machine. Yeah, this is my Windows machine. There you can download Git for Windows. So I'll share you the URL. Chat. Go to this URL and download the 64-bit Git for Windows setup. Then run it. So Git is available in installed version. Also, it is available in the portable version. You can use it. And for most of the IDE environments, let it be Eclipse or let it be your what is the other VS Code, okay, or like something your IntelliJ. So all those IDEs as an integration with Git, there you can configure it, and in the IDE itself you can do it. So let's start with the command line, and I will show you an example of VS Code or Eclipse integration. See downloads. Let me install the Git. It's already been running in the back. Click on next. I'm using the default option. Okay. The reason behind it is like basically Git, I told Drake it is developed for Linux, right? So there will be a Linux extension will be installed on the Windows. On top of that, Git will be executed. So that utility is called Git bash. Once you install it, you can see that. So let me select the destination, the default one I'm not changing here. And here also no changes is needed. And then Git next. And you can see that the use Vim as a default editor, or you can use Visual Studio Code or Notepad. Okay, in that you can select Notepad as a default editor. Okay, or Vim can be used. Okay, I'm not changing anything, but you can change your default file editor here. I'm not changing anything here. And next. Okay, and what should be the initial branch for the repository? Default is master. Let me keep it up. Or for example, in some scenarios, the default branch can be main. Okay, so even the latest GitHub, the default branch is main. So, but we can change it, but let's not do that here. I'm just giving the default option. And next is the path variable. Whether I should be able to communicate to the set the path variable and all those things. I can use it. Click next. And then if I want to use the SSH to communicate it, what should be the one? Use the bundled option. If you have OpenSSH installed on this machine, you can use it, but we are not having that. So you will have the default option. And then for HTTPS, what should be the library? Use the OpenSSL library. All of them are default. And then what should be the checkout style? Okay, so this will be a normal problem when you work with multiple operating systems. Like on Linux, the file indentation will be CR and LF. Okay, so it's called control character and the line feed. Okay, but in Windows it is different. Okay, so if you bring up a write a code in Linux and when you want to import it to Windows, you may have these issues. So I'm just saying check out in the Windows style. Okay. And while committing, I will use the Unix style. Okay. So the conversion will automatically happen when I do a checkout and thing. This is called CRLF, control feed and line feed, because both Windows and Linux uses a two different file formats. Okay. And then what should be the console? Yeah. See, if you are using both Windows, I would say check out as is and commit as in. Okay, if everyone is using that, I would say the third option. Okay, imagine like you have a code which will be running on a Linux system, then I would prefer the first option. Okay. Based on your need, you can choose it. And this is your terminal. What should be the terminal? Minity will be a terminal. Okay, that should be fine because this will install the Git bash for me. Okay, next is what should be my merging strategy? Whether I should rebase or I should do the fast forward or merge. Okay, You see the difference here? That means merge means it will not carry the commit history. If I wanted to carry the commit history, I would say the default merging strategy is rebase. Okay, I'm going with the default one, that is merge. And then credentials manager, like whether I want any credentials helper or anything, I can configure it, and using that it will automatically store my username and password, and I will be able to reuse it. We can use that. Click next. And then next is file system caching. Whether I should have a caching enabled so that it will be faster. Fine. And if I want the symbolic links to be enabled, normally in the code for the configuration files, we will create a symbolic link. Whether symbolic link should be enabled on the Windows, you can do it. For our lab, we don't need it. But imagine in your code, you are using symbolic links, you can use it. Okay. And then these are experimental features. I don't want that. And then let me click install. So based on your need and your organization setup, you can choose what are the options you wanted. Okay. So once you do that, there will be a git bash will be generated. So you can just find it here. I can just ignore this. Some readme file will be there. I can just read it if I wanted. Actually, I don't need it. So this is the readme file. What is the changes in it? What are the previous version? You can see it here, but it's not okay for me. It is okay for me. Okay, next, if you see your Windows bar, you can see a git bash. If you search for git, you can see a git bash is installed. Okay, so git is available in both GUI and bash. We will stick with the bash. So it is like a command, Linux command prompt. You will get it there. You can play around. At the same time, if you go to your right click icon, you can see that you can directly do a git bash from here or git GUI from here. All those things you can do it. Okay. So my git client is ready. We need to set up some of the parameters. Okay, two parameters is mandatory for you to commit to the git. Okay, one is called the username and one is called as the email address. Okay, this is a very critical thing because when the commit histories are stored in the centralized repository, the username and the email address you are configuring here, right? So that is what it is. It will display in the git centralized repository. So once you install a git, always configure this parameter that is called git username and the email address. Let me share you the command to set up the username and the user email. So the command is git, open a git bash, there give the command git config --global, okay, user dot name. I can provide my name. Let me call it as trainer. So you can give your name. It can be anything. So this will set up the username of the when commit is happening, this username will be registered on the centralized repository. And then next command I'm going to do is user.email. The same command, user.email as trainer@. training.com. Set up these two parameters. Just to identify that only this person has pushed this code so that others can come and talk to you if they have any conflict or merge during the merge. The next is if I want to see my git configuration, the command is git config --list. So these are all the default configurations. You can just see it.